In this game, we're going to take a look at a pretty volatile matchup in the bottom lane, which is Xayah Nautilus versus Varus Pyke. And this is an interesting matchup because of the, like I said, the volatility of it. Pyke has many chances to roam, and he has a much more dynamic playstyle, while Nautilus is relegated to the more to a more predictable kit and to a more predictable playstyle. But that doesn't mean that Pyke is a better pick. Obviously, in certain situations, he might be a better pick, and so is Nautilus. But generally speaking, so many things can happen in this lane and in this support matchup. Notice that Olaf put a ward in our jungle at our Raptor camp, and our blue ward also spotted him walking into our jungle, though we don't know exactly where he put the ward. As always, I like to put a trinket ward at the beginning of the game in the river just to catch their bot lane's rotations and potentially to catch their jungler's early gank. I level up my W to leash for my jungler, which will give a healthy and strong leash both for me and my jungler. And the good damage values of Nautilus early game is also, one of his strengths. And this is one of the ways at the very beginning of the game to make use of those damage values that he has and the magic damage that his W gives as well to give a really good strong leash. Due to the changes to coin, coin doesn't even exist in League anymore, so it's absolutely necessary to go Relic Shield. And this has been a bit of an adjustment for me personally. This is a bit dangerous. Notice that they're going to get level 2 before us. There was one thing that I could have changed there, which possibly could have prevented Xayah from having to flash, which is if I autoed Pyke when he eats over Xayah, I would have immobilized him momentarily, and that could have allowed Xayah to maybe just walk out of his E stun range thing, like the shadow that comes after him. And then she possibly could have prevented Xayah from flashing. So that was a kind of a mistake on my part. I'm not 100% sure if it would have worked that way, but it's something that I actually learned this game because I'm not very familiar with this matchup. And that's also why I decided to comment on this game, because I think it's very instructive. So they got level 2 first and they got a flash, so they definitely have pressure in this situation. Notice Olaf, due to his early ward, he actually decided to go his blue and then to our blue to invade our kindred. So his early trinket ward gave him that information and allowed him to put that pressure on our jungler. Qiyana is rotating quite quickly, which is good, while Katarina is slower to rotate, and that is very good of Qiyana to rotate quickly. It's really the difference between winning these skirmishes and not winning them. But as we can see in this game, for some reason, I don't know exactly what happened, but yeah, it didn't work out in our favor despite Qiyana rotating more quickly. And again, I should have autoed Pyke after he eat. But Xayah playing so far up, I feel I could have also body blocked. But the thing is, if I do that, even with the slight tankiness that I get from my W, it still would have been... I still might have had to flash. So it still would have been a very bad trade. And... because I can only really rely on myself to carry, I don't really want to use my summoners I don't want to waste my summoners in any way. I use my Q there to prevent Pyke from recalling. And that is always good to, to kind of punish if your opponent recalls lazily, to punish that and to delay their recall, delay their purchase, and to delay their potential rotation to another lane. It's actually can be very good, can be very effective to win. So Varus is alone. And I got his flash. I would say this was a very elegant and effective play by me. I messed up Pyke's recall timing, which caused Varus to be alone in lane for a brief period of time, and I took advantage of that gap and put pressure on him and forced him to flash without having to burn anything myself. And that was because I interrupted Pyke's recall. So these things really do matter, especially at this level when you get to diamond or above. Like you are playing against players that are they're at a level where they, understand a lot about the game, and you really need to make the most out of just any advantage that you can get. I bought Boots of Mobility, and which I always rush because they're just so incredibly good at rotating and just making plays, both in lane and out of lane, that it's an absolute must buy. So Katarina got a sweeper, and she clears my pink ward. I'm waiting for her to clear the pink ward in the pixel brush. And when she leaves, I'm gonna put this ward back because she didn't ward. She doesn't know that I put that back. So I just want to establish vision control. I want us to have that vision in the pixel brush because I know that Katarina, Katarina, especially good Katarinas, they definitely will try to roam and make those plays. And that can be very dangerous. That can lead to a snowball, and the game can get out of hand in those situations if the Katarina gets ahead. So the bot lane rotated. They pushed us in, which means they had priority, and then they rotated. So it's a very basic but effective way of playing League. Push your opponent's wave in, and then rotate because you have priority, and because the bottom lane or the lane that you pushed in, your lane opponent is going to lose out on EXP and farm if they do rotate. And so what I did in that situation was that I recalled. Instead of trying to match their rotations, because I know that I wouldn't be able to get there in time to the skirmish or fight or whatever was going to happen, because they had such a lead in terms of their rotation, I instead just opted to recall and buy pink wards and just buy whatever I could buy, because I just felt like at that time that was a better decision. Because what is the point of matching a rotation or trying to match a rotation when you're just so far behind, and it's just not going to work. I'm using my pink ward here to check if they have any vision, and then I use it in the pixel brush too, just to see if they have vision there, and I find out that they do have a pink ward, and I wait a bit for I'm not 100% sure if I saw Katarina recall there, but I waited a bit for Katarina to go back, and I also noticed that their bot lane were not, that they had recalled, so I knew it was safe to clear the pink ward. Timing when you clear pink wards, or just any wards in general, is very important by looking at the map. When you look at the map, it gives you valuable information about your opponent's position. And your opponent's position is absolutely vital to knowing whether or not you can clear a ward or not. And based on that information, I knew that it was very safe to clear the ward. So I'm trying to be unpredictable. I'm trying to set up a gank. Trying to maybe get Malphite ahead. Waiting for the right time here. chaining abilities correctly is also very important in these situations, just to make sure that you get the kill as quickly as possible. You don't want to make those mechanical mistakes. An ideal situation where we have synergy, we're all working together as a team. I really want to get the Herald here quickly because Olaf is bottom lane and they dove our Xayah. So I want us to get as much as possible out of this play and out of this rotation. But Kindred disagrees, Kiana disagrees. They're much more focused on Dragon for some reason. I think we really should have taken Herald, or at least tried to take Herald, instead of trying to match a rotation that is much slower than the enemy's rotation. Because if your rotation is slower than the enemy's rotation, or vice versa, it's just often quite pointless to try to make something out of that situation, because your opponent will be in position to fight back while you won't be. And that's the fundamental principle that goes into that. And that's why it's usually not a good idea to try to match those rotations. Noticing that Garen is putting a lot of pressure on my Malphite, I'm thinking of trying to gank him and just get Malphite further ahead, and possibly also get Herald because Dragon is off the map. And also because I know that their bot lane is going to rotate because they got our turret. And I know they're not gonna, it's very rare that the enemy bot lane will keep pushing after they get the tier 3 turret. They're going to rotate most likely, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. And I know that they're gonna rotate, and that's why I'm already trying to play around that, that the map is more open. Even when you lose your own turret and you lose a lot of map pressure, it's still opening up the map on both sides. It's not just the enemy that gets an advantage in terms of that. You also, or your team, can get an advantage in terms of how open the map is, even if you're the one, your team is the are losing the turrets. I'm not sure what Olaf was thinking here. Not much more to say. I mean, this is late enough in the game where we all three of us have the advantage of or the possibility of tanking damage, and Kindred dies there, also makes a mistake. You know, these things happen even at Diamond too. But yeah, I don't know what Olaf was thinking. We're all strong enough to tank the turret. We have quite a lot of damage at this point in the game, and it was just a bad decision by him to try to defend the turret. I'm using all my abilities here to try to kill Pyke, and he manages to get a kill. Then I get a kill back, and not a terrible exchange in the sense that Pyke used his flash. And Pyke's flash is just so incredibly important for him and his kit, because it allows him to make a lot more flexible. It gives him a lot more flexibility in terms of his playstyle and just what he can do and how he can impact the game. So getting Pyke's flash is better than Pyke getting my flash, as an example, I would say. I have no mana, I have 50% health. I know it's very dangerous to walk up to Garen at this point with the Garen's ultimate up. He might even end up 2v1ing or just getting a kill on me if I try to kind of force this. So I went back, and as always, I'm trying to work towards my righteous glory after a boost of mobility, while also stacking up on 2 pink wards. And not sure what's going on with Pyke and Kiana. Looking at the map. Kiana is really trailing after him far into their jungle, which is very dangerous, I have to admit. I'm not sure. I would say almost always that is a very bad decision, and usually a decision or a mistake that is made by lower elo players that, you know, they will chase really, really far to get that one kill, and then maybe, you know, they all end up dying for that, and it's just not worth it. I want to get Herald again. I was thinking, especially because we killed Garen, that you know, that was an opportunity, but in this situation maybe it would have been a bit too risky potentially, because Qiyana wasn't there and Xayah is also bot lane, so. Clearing the cone, I really don't like the randomness that cones give, so unless I know that I can use the cone to my advantage or to my team's advantage, I like to clear it. Because of the vision I set up, we can notice, we can see that Pyke and Olaf are rotating. So what I do is that I rotate to the opposite side of the map to apply pressure there and help Xayah get the bottom turret. But seeing that Garen is bottom lane, I know, and with Dragon also being up, I know it's going to be hard to get that bottom turret. And because Dragon is up, I know that the enemy team is going to rotate. Look at Kindred on the map here. So I'm thinking of maybe, you know, making something happen because of how my team is playing, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe we can fight here. Varus flashes. I think that was an R flash by Varus, and I R'd him. Kindred tried to flank around without her ultimate, and this is just a disaster, pretty much. This is just terrible. I mean, I knew that Malphite was top, and but I saw Kindred trying to flank, and with the enemy team taking damage from the dragon too, I was thinking, you know, maybe there is a chance here. But obviously there wasn't, or maybe if Kindred had her ultimate, and also if she was with us and didn't try to flank, maybe there was a chance there. So this was really, you know, definitely my mistake to try to make that work. Maybe if Kindred had ultimate, I think that definitely would have been better. So a bit careless of me, and also my team just also were not sure how to react, it seemed. Focusing Garen here, I can't just let him walk to my backline and just do whatever he wants. And with my passive and the CC for my passive, it's just, you know, Nautilus is very good at that, to just playing defensively in a way. But that is not very suited for a solo queue. To win, you can't play defensive. You need to make plays, and you need to just make things happen. You can't just wait for your enemy to engage all the time. You need to be the one to make the plays, and you need to be the one to engage. And this just turned out great for us. Let's see what we can get out of this. So I'm pinging Herald here. I want to get Herald quickly. Katarina and Olaf both have quite long death timers, and Kindred is low HP, so is Qiyana, but Xayah is full HP, I'm healthy, and so is Malphite. But my team are hesitant, they don't want to take the chance, so we end up not doing it. But personally, I think that we should have tried to go for that. But adjusting is so important too, especially as when you're playing support and, you know, you don't have damage. You can't really make plays that lead to kills individually. You are so reliant on your team to follow up and to make smart decisions. So you know, if your team doesn't follow up, or if they don't want to do something and it's clear from how they play and how they're pinging and just how they're reacting to the situation that's playing out, then it's better to just recall, just play it safe. Look for another chance. again turn out great for us. That was the TP from Garen was quite, it just was not, didn't work with it was too late for him to TP at that time. And Pyke is kind of standing on the side, off to the side, and just kind of trying to be a nuisance is good, but that's kind of why I didn't focus him too. I just went for Garen immediately because I know that that is what Pyke wants to do. He wants to be a nuisance, and he wants to kind of try to distract us. So that's why I'm not really paying attention to him, because I also know that Pyke, unless he hits like a really good E, or he gets resets with his R, there really is not much he can do. And the R resets are the biggest threat. That was actually a big mistake by me walking up. I thought Katarina, or she was in my vision, and then I was going to R her to just, you know, prevent her from killing everyone like she just did. So I actually, but I lost vision of her, and because I pressed R, I walked up to her character, and then, you know, if she reacted quickly, she probably could have killed me and then gotten, and then the rest of my team. But she, luckily for me, she didn't react to me walking up like that. So I still have Baron buff, but my entire team died, so we all lost, or they all lost Baron buff. But even with just one player having Baron buff, that's still a big deal. I really want to go in here, but could have maybe tried to predict Pyke's E there. But yeah, I wanted to go in there, and I think maybe that was a slight hesitation on my part. I should have just went in. And we would have gotten at least one kill there, and possibly two. And yeah, so that was definitely on me. I should not have hesitated. I was trying to wait for a more ideal time. Just better timing to go in. So the kill score is 22 to 21, and looking at the gold, the enemy team have an advantage. So, you know, at this point in the game, it's not easy. You know, the game is very even now. Things can happen really quickly. You can lose fast, you can win fast. This is such dangerous. Like, this point in the game is so dangerous. So I'm trying to make a play here, and definitely a huge play by me. Very simple play too. Reusing my Righteous Glory to get within my R range, and then using that to apply a ton of pressure and just setting up a team fight. Just definitely a very good play by me. Definitely made a mistake here, and that mistake was actually using my Q with Katarina there. I should not use my Q when I don't have my R, because that is really the only quick, reliable form of CC that we have. Except maybe Kiana. She could possibly kill Katarina quickly, or stop her ultimate from going off, but my Q is the easiest and quickest form of CC to stop Katarina from, or just to interrupt her ultimate animation. So I should not have used Q there. I should have held my Q and wait just to prevent Katarina from having the luxury of just going in whenever she wants, because she can just dictate the pace to a much greater extent if I use my Q or my R carelessly, because I really need to use that to kind of hold her down and just keep her away from my team, or at least to interrupt her if she does try to go for something. Olaf is top. You always want to fight in a 5v4 if you have the opportunity. Kindred's, yeah, that was a big mistake by me. I wanted to use my R there, and I think it was a bit just kind of the wrong timing. Just everything kind of went wrong there for me. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna give up. I see another chance and I go for that, no hesitation. Kindred's ultimate is so effective against their team comp. The resets Katarina will get and Pyke will get if they get kills. So it's so good to have Kindred's ultimate there. Xayah is a bit careless and she ends up paying with it for her life. And so in this situation we can see that Baron is spawning and so is Dragon. And I definitely, even though with the changes in the preseason, I know that Baron is the strength of Baron is amplified with the amount of dragons that you have, but I still would like to get Baron in this situation because Baron is spawning sooner than Dragon. But my team are very hesitant here and they are playing around Dragon instead. They want to go for that option. So instead I just try to quickly ward the Baron area and then rotate. Just because I don't know what's going to happen here, if we're going to lose the fight or not. So I just want to secure some of that vision. I left the cone for Xayah to use it. Kind of mistimed my Q there with the Sonya's active of Katarina, so I should have waited a bit longer to use my Q for the Sonya's animation to complete. And I definitely did not contribute much to that fight. It was a very difficult situation, very difficult for me to evaluate whether or not to go in. And because it was difficult for me to evaluate, I played it, I'm not going to I'm going to play measured. I'm not going to make any rash decisions in that situation and potentially lose us the game. So